Hi, this is Phyllis with Phyllis Finds. I am coming to you with a little tutorial and a small haul. But first the tutorial. This here is a gift bag. And you usually can find these at Dollar Tree, Dollar General, Walmart, just about everywhere has these gift bags. Now, they're always a holiday item. Like this one here is Happy Valentine's Day. It was a 2-pack. And I have made these into junk journals in the past. And this particular junk journal I'm going to make will be a Valentine or Mother's Day. So one of the things I do with these bags, and this was the other bag that was in there, is take them apart. So now I come down and undo these so that I have what I consider to be a tube. The glue can be a bugger to undo, but usually they're not too bad in undoing. And you just open it up from the bottom, of course, and then you got your top. Undo these guys here, and there you have a tube. Now I take the handles off, and with this one, I've already done that. The handles were on either side, and I've removed them off. They're usually fairly easy to get underneath there and pop them up, but you have to be very careful because it can tear your bag itself. And, you know, coming up and carefully going underneath the handles, pulling up so you don't tear the bag. And once you get it opened, then you have a full piece. Now what I do is I always cut along the line here on both sides. So then I have a front and a back. And with this one, I've used both pieces, and I've cut off some of that center section so that I will have a smaller spine. Now you can do the bigger spine, like with this one here. It measures out at 1 3/8 inches on either side. So you could easily do 1 3/8 inches. But I didn't want that wide of a spine. So the spine I'm going to have is about 1 1/8 inches. And then the rest of the cover is going to be 8 inches, which is just about what the bag is. The bag from the top to the bottom, where it has your bottom piece, is about 8 1/4. So going in there, there's your 8, and there's the 1/4 is the top part. And then, of course, across is 5 inches. So you've got the bag tells you what size journal you're going to do. So like this one here, be 5 inches. From the top to here is 8 1/4, so I did 8 inches. So with the handles removed, and I've cut down both sides, so I've got 2 pieces. I've cut the bottom so it's not as wide, and this is only about 3/4 inch, and then the sides are about the same, 3/4 inch. I've cut the strips off to make it so that I can put a surface in there. Now you can use cereal bags. You can use cardboard from whatever you get. I have this big piece that I've kept that, you know, because I'm not even sure what it was from. I think it was a coloring or paper or something, but it was fairly wide. This one here was like 12 inches wide and I think 24 inches long. But I cut out the pieces I needed for the front and the back. So I've got them 5 inches by 8 inches. And then my spine, I was trying to decide what size to go. See, now this here is 3/4 of an inch, but I decided to go with a 1-inch spine. So these will fit in here with just enough space between so that your book will open and close. So putting these on, let's grab this. I'm going to use the Fabri-Tac. And that way I can glue in place. Now usually if I do fabric, I'm going to spread this glue out. But with this being paper the way it is, you don't have to do that. But you do want to make sure you're getting it in place on all your fold lines. Now where the bottom of the bag folded, it has all your built-in spots in order to put this in place. Now you can use whatever you've got to adhere that to it. So you do both sides. I'm trying to see where I put my... We will use this. Joann's comes to great use. And we'll do the same on this side. We will adhere it down as well. Bone folder works really good with doing this as well. So you can use any number of tools to make sure this is adhered. I'm using this on this side here so I can get all of that in place so that when you have your book, you've got it smooth. Now you can put whatever you want on the cover of this, because this kind of looks like wallpaper. And you know, when they did this bag, they didn't get the hearts perfectly aligned, which is, I didn't notice at the time, but that's fine. So the center, do the same thing. Glue this on down. Now you can use T-Vac or you can use fabric. I usually use fabric to adhere my spine or to make it so it's stronger. Now on each of these corners, because they have that built-in spot, you can fold it down and fold it forward, which is usually what I end up doing, and then you have a nice sharp and clean corner. So that's what I'm going to do here. Take some of this and put it on the corners. That goes down. Nice thing about the bag, it already has that already pre-folded in place, so it makes it much easier when you're trying to adhere your bag. See, now this here, that little spot from the bottom of the bag will be covered up. And we're going to use our bone folder again to help adhere this down. Go into the creases. Hoping your glue holds on. Sometimes it takes a little while for it to adhere. I do use clips on a lot of times to help hold everything in place. Back. This will make a great little base for our little junk journal. Now, because I don't have much on this front corner, so you have to really watch how much you have. You can make this smaller. You don't have to do 8 inches, but I like the 8x5 size of junk journals, so that's why we're doing it the size we're doing it. And like I said, this will be covered over with paper or fabric. You can do either one. So that keeps on staying down. Usually does take a little while for the glue to adhere, especially the Fabri-Tac. Not so much with the art glitter glue. It usually comes a little better. So now when you're folding this up, this other side was already pre-folded. This one here I'm going to fold as I'm going along here before I adhere this to it. And then this sides will adhere. Now this side here is going to be really, really close. So when I put the cover that I plan on putting on the inside, it will help to cover that up. Let's see here. Grab my little clips. One thing I do love about Dollar Tree is these little clips here. These work really great to keep your glued edges down. I'm going to run a bead of glue along here. That way I can use these little clips to hold everything down. And the nice thing about the little rubber tips is they don't adhere to the glue. So it's perfect for doing this. The other thing you can do is to put something heavy on it, but then you have to really watch because the glue will stick to whatever you're using. So I usually do it with the clips themselves. And you can do it on the corners here. So the bigger ones usually end up being the best. I also use these clips for the signatures when I'm holding them in place to keep them from moving around. See, and once they start to stick, you can remove the clips, and the clips will help hold them. You have in there. Just rearrange things. Over here. Over here. So, one of those things to have to watch as you're doing this. See, and this adhered down and this one is adhered down now. Alright. This last little edge. Now you can always adhere a piece of paper to the underside of this so that you've got it in place. But this here will help hold that in however way you want it. And these little clippies are great for these edges. And then I put them in this. I think I got it at the Dollar Tree as well. And they fit in there just perfectly. Okay. Now, once you get that in place, you can pick whatever you're going to use for the inside. I have picked out a bunch of little papers that I thought might look kind of nice. There was this one as well. This is like a hand printed paper. This in here was from one of the paper pads, and then there was also this one. So, you know, looking at what you've got and seeing what you might want to put in there, this one might be the one I go with. And I'll use these on the inside, or since these two match and are kind of that creamy pink and have hearts to go with it, I can use these on here. Now, I'm not going to use them to overlap because these actually come right smack into the center, which I can easily use them that way, and then just adhere down the center where you've got your line. I also usually use fabric. So whatever I put on the inside, I'm going to use the fabric to help support that spine. Because the paper works great, but it eventually starts to tear. So you got to have something to help support that inner edge and outer edge. So let's see here, we're going to take these guys off. So it doesn't take long for that Fabri-Tac to help hold everything in place. So now these I'm going to put in here. And I do believe I'm going to put them right down the center line there. Let's see which one looks best. Difficult for this route. Just about. So we're going to trim just a little bit off the bottom of these. It's almost just too too big. Yeah, that works a little better. More to the size I want. And then I have to do the same on this one. That'll work. And if you want to take the corners and bump them off so they're not as sharp, you can. It's a matter of picking one of the smaller little corners. That way it is not as sharp on that corner. So that's what we're going to do with these guys. And then we can also put a little metal corners on the corners of this to help protect them, which are really kind of fun. So let's get this one going. Now I'm going to only do the glue on this panel first. And if you want to put any lace or any trim underneath, now's the time to do that. But with this one, I am not going to bother with that. Once again, pushing and scraping to get all the bubbles out and to kind of help spread that glue around. And there's the inside of our front. Now, with this, we need to adhere, but we also need to have a fold line for our center. So we want to make sure, as we're doing this, that we've got enough glue in there to put that in the fold line. That way when we adhere this center, we've got it in place. And we will be putting the fabric over it to help with that center section. So let's do this side here. Again, matching it up, spreading that glue, and you can see it squishes out. That means you're getting it all the way to the edge. You can just rub it off. And then once again, we're going to do the same on this edge here. We've got to find where that crease is, so that we can get it down in and we know where we're going to fold it. Now this in here, with a lot of your papers, you have to be really careful. This paper is super thick and tough. So I can put more pressure on it, but if you're using just a regular cardstock, the difference between the two is quite immense. These are very, very flexible. The cardstock is a little on the stiffer and thinner side. So these, you know, you could roll these up easily. It's almost like a handcrafted natural paper. It is a little thicker, a little heavier. So there we have that. Now you can still see the creases from the bag, and that's why I plan on covering up and putting something on the front and on the back so that you don't see that. That's where you can put all the embellishments that you want there or on the back side, and you can put pockets here on the front. Now with these guys, we get it in this little crease. I want to make sure we're adhering that down those creases. And then once again, we're going to put our bone folder in there to get it in that crease, because we want it to fold on that crease and not buckle. Same goes for this side. Again, getting it in the crease. It's almost training the paper to do what you want it to do at this point. And then we'll go back and down. Now you can take your little clips to help hold those top edges in place. And that way it will adhere, and then you know you've got it for the book. But those there is how I do the cover using the paper bag. It's fairly easy. Bigger bags, you can use the center part. You don't end up with the creases. But I will show you this when this is all done and the book is completed. I will show you what it looks like complete with all the decorations and everything in place. But this is just kind of a little tutorial on how to do the cover, just the cover. So, next will be coming the small haul. So, stay tuned.